Hey, joining us now, one of the most respected PR people in sports, an old friend of mine, John Maroon. This guy's got more than 20 years experience in sports public relations, including overseeing the PR departments for the Redskins and the Indians and Orioles in baseball. He also is Cal Ripken's longtime publicist, and you can get him on the web at maroonpr.com. John, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, Kirk? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. How's everything at Maroon PR? It's going good?
Yeah, everything's going really well. Thanks. We miss you up here.
Well, I'm down here.
And, John, hi, this is Mike. One of the reasons we wanted to get you on the show is, we do have the impending lockout and what could be a PR disaster for the NFL. And, this is going to be a situation where the longer it goes, obviously, the more damage is going to be done to the league. Is the NFL poised for this PR nightmare?
I don't think anybody's poised for it, really, Mike. I mean, look, bottom line is, I think right now the best move by both parties is to really kind of work behind the scenes. And for the most part, that's what they're doing. I saw Commissioner Goodell give a little bit of an interview on ESPN today, give a little bit of background, but really right now, fans just want their football. And to try to position yourself as some sort of a victim or some sort of try to explain why you can't divvy up the $9 billion pie, that's just not going to fly. So, no, right now from everybody's seat that lives for these Sunday afternoons, it's just get it fixed. There's a lot for everybody, figure it out. And I think that's hopefully what will happen. At least we got a little time.
What can you do? I mean, there's not much a PR guy can do in this case. I mean, if it goes on, what are some of the more challenging things you've had to put a good face on?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of things that you have to think about. And I think right now, the good news is the off season is normal. It's normal right now. We're not missing any games. We're not missing any workouts. Nothing's happening. The players aren't feeling any pain. They're not missing any paychecks. So as those things really start to approach, that's when it might behoove you to get out in front of it, to give a little information. I think laying low, working it behind the scenes now is the smart move. I think the NFL PA is led by a really bright guy in DeMaurice Smith. The draft strategy is kind of backfiring on them a little bit from a PR perspective. But, I think right now you don't want to be too aggressive and too out front because there are no winners, and fans don't want to hear it. Fans just want to hear that on Sundays I'm going to have football to watch.
John, when were you involved with the Redskins?
The 1999-2000 season. We won the NFC East that year.
Good. Then I can go ahead and ask you.
He was the PR guy, but
I can ask you my questions about the current administration then.
Yes, I was the first year that the current administration owned the team.
And let's go as recent as possible and talk about this lawsuit against the City paper. First thing I said when this story came out, this is a public relations nightmare. I mean, this is a guy. I can't understand what kind of advice he must be getting when he sues this. But the most recent one is one of the most egregious, where he, he brought all of these negatives out to the forefront. If he hadn't sued the City paper, this is a story that would have run and been forgotten about.
You guys hit it exactly on the head. I mean, by doing what they did, they gave the City paper a platform that would never have. And I don't mean to disrespect the City paper. I'm sure they have a very loyal following. But millions have since heard about that story, read that story. I'm sure that writer's delighted, and he's getting a lot of attention. But, yeah, I mean, you elevated a smaller news-gathering agency to really, quite frankly, to a national stage. And you didn't have to do that. The old saying, nothing's older than yesterday's paper. I'm not so sure that's true anymore, but it's true to the extent that, as you guys just said, that thing would have been over, forgotten. It would have just been another in a long line of silly stories that maybe took a shot or two at Dan. But now it kind of lived and gave him another black eye. It was a confusing move.
We're talking with John Maroon. He's one of the most respected PR guys in the business. And, John, we know that sports is your specialty, but what would you do in a case of a Charlie Sheen? How would you help him resurrect his career? What would you tell him?
Boy, tell him to shut up. I mean, first and foremost, I think, the thing with Charlie Sheen is I think obviously he's got some issues, and he needs to work through that sort of thing. But, people like to say, oh, he's got 2 million Twitter followers. Well, that's because people want to follow a train wreck. There's nothing positive coming out of it. And I think the longer he goes on, the more he yaps and says these crazy, outlandish things, the less you're hearing about job opportunities. Heck, reality TV is shying away from him because he's too outrageous. I don't know what the heck do you got to do to be too outrageous for reality TV. So,
that is true.
I think Charlie's, I think you at least maybe I'm just paying less attention, but it seems like he's been quieter the last couple of weeks because maybe some reality's setting in. Like if I want to work again. Now, bottom line is 2.5 Men's in syndication. Charlie's not going to be living on the streets or anything, but if he wants to remain relevant, he's still a pretty young guy, get his act together. I think right now the best thing is be quiet and make some friends behind the scenes, explain that, the wheels were off the wagon, they're back on now.
Is there a big difference between someone in public relations and a publicist, or are they in many cases one and the same?
I think there's a difference in perception. I think a publicist has one of these Hollywood perceptions that you're out there kind of managing all the crazies through their rehabs and DUIs and that sort of thing. But generally, it's the same sort of thing. I mean, I'm a PR guy. I represent a lot of companies, but also some individuals. You'd mentioned Cal early on, and so I guess technically I'm Cal's publicist. But I think publicist is one of those things that has a kind of a negative connotation.
John, let me give you a story. I don't want to mention any names here, but I have a couple of really, really good friends that actually do a morning radio show in a major market, and they're having trouble getting arrested. Would you perhaps consider managing their careers at an incredibly discounted rate?
Incredibly, yes, of course. I would relish the opportunity. Clearly, from what I can gather from you guys, they're pretty smart people.
Very smart, very good looking as well. And
the public loves them. They're good looking.
Yes, exactly. Got amazing track records in the industry. And you know what I'll do? John, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have those guys get in touch with you. What do you think about that?
I'd love it.
All right. And you've really, Cal Ripken is a guy that doesn't get in trouble. So, it's been, you just kind of get him opportunities and things. It's not like you have to, put a good face on him being in jail.
No, look, I'm very fortunate with Cal. He and I connected in 1995, the year he broke the record. We've formed a really good personal and professional relationship, and I've been with him in one capacity or another ever since. And with Cal, it's much more. He's his own best PR guy. He knows how to handle every situation. And you're right. It's a lot more with Cal is managing the opportunities and then helping him. Like right now, he has a kid's book out. In fact, we should get him on with you guys soon. He has a signing in D.C. at the end of the month.
Bring him up.
That would be an honor. Oh, I would be. I revere that guy, and I'm not even an Orioles fan. I will tell you,
I am.
He's one of those guys to me that one of those great guys that made a life with one team, and that's so rare in professional sports nowadays.
And he's a quality guy, and it's a kid's book. So yeah, we'll get him on the next couple of weeks. I'll talk to Jeff about that. But he's the type of guy that, I think he's a pleasure to work with because he gets it. He understands the power of the media. He understands that, when folks want to talk to him, he should be available to talk. But he's not the guy that's going to put his foot in his mouth. He's not the guy that's going to throw anybody under the bus. From my perspective, it's a whole heck of a lot easier than somebody else.
And because you're a PR guy, I'll leave you with one of these nice little confusing questions for a PR guy. When you left the Redskins, was it under good circumstances, bad circumstances, and as best you can you tell us what those circumstances were? There's a challenge for a PR guy right there.
Heck, that's fine. That was a long time ago. I left. Look, I left under my own. It was my decision to leave. I'd gotten an opportunity to go, and actually going back to Cal, he had called me up and said he was going to only play a couple more years and starting his company, starting his foundation. That I want to help. And I think from my time with the Redskins, I love the NFL, and they're in good hands now with a guy named Tony Wiley. But I'm very much, my philosophy in working with the media is to really work with them, form relationships, and grow it from there. So we were a little philosophically opposed in that area, and life's too short. So I just said, hey, I'm going to move on. Cal's given me a great opportunity, and it's been great.
Hey, kids,
very diplomatic.
If you want to go into PR, I want you to see how he handled that. He made everybody happy in that answer. Everybody, including us. He gave us a little something at the end, too.
John Maroon, hey, we'll be in touch, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me on. Mike and Kirk, great to talk with you, and I hope we can do it again.
MaroonPR.com. Check into the man. All right, John, thanks. We'll talk again soon.